Welcome, welcome Rotarians and guests to the Rotary Club of Seattle, the fourth oldest and one of the world's largest Rotary clubs, where we embrace service above self and are connecting for good. Every day, likely every minute of every day, somewhere in the world there are Rotarians doing good. And today, in shared action, Seattle Rotarians and Seattle City Rotaractors will demonstrate once again our commitment to service and how we serve humanity, which is the theme, the Rotary International theme this year. In the next hour, each of us will have an opportunity to express our care and compassion for our fellow citizens who are in need, both locally and globally. To inspire us as we launch this Seattle Day of Service is our member, Roberta Nestis. Roberta is the co-chair of our Peace Builder Committee and the incoming chair of our board. After Roberta's message, please remain standing because David Woodward is going to lead us in song, and he's accompanied by my Sergeant-at-Arms, Ken Grant. Roberta.
Who are you clapping for? When Kathy and I had the opportunity to visit Lebanon and Jordan with other Rotarians in the year 2010, we learned about the role that these countries have in providing for refugees. Of course, that was prior to the Syrian conflict, and now more than ever, they are inundated and overwhelmed by fleeing refugees, most of whom just want to go home. My introduction to refugee resettlement work here in the United States was when I was selected as CEO of Lutheran Community Services Northwest. This three-state agency is an affiliate of Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Services, which is one of the 9 national refugee resettlement networks. Well, I immediately became a passionate advocate of this work, primarily because of the staff, who were former refugees themselves. They taught me not only about their native cultures and religion, but about gratitude. They have a heightened sense of gratitude for freedom, for supermarkets, for employment, education, and they put me to shame, their patriotism for citizenship in this country. I'm now retired, but I do know that the agency has had to lay off half of their refugee resettlement staff due to the current travel ban. So a few months ago, I was in the midst of a political discussion. Can you imagine having a political discussion these days? But as someone referred to this whole U.S. role in refugee policies as an emotional issue. And I replied that to me, it's more an issue of values. The values of us as individuals, of our community, of our country, and how about as Rotarians? Francis of Assisi said, "Preach the gospel, and sometimes with words." So my words today aren't as important as the service project that follows our luncheon. Today we have the opportunity to live out our values, so let's do it.
Well, when I learned that the the ambassador from Taiwan to the U.S. was going to be in town, I wanted to offer him an opportunity to speak to us, and today was the day. And Ambassador Stanley Gao is the representative of Taiwan to the United States, and he's been in that position for about a year. He started in Washington, D.C. in June of 2016. Previously, he served as Taiwan's head of mission in Rome. He was the deputy chief of the permanent mission to the WTO, the World Trade Organization in Geneva. He also served in Budapest and a number of other assignments. But the ambassador has a connection to Rotary. In fact, he is a Paul Harris Fellow. He's here today with his wife, and we're delighted that you're here with us, Sherry Sung. And they're married with one daughter who's a university student. So I'm going to keep my introduction brief so we can hear from the ambassador. Welcome.
Well, thank you so very much, Kathy, for that very brief but the most generous introduction. And of course, a lot of people believe that all good diplomats always think twice before saying nothing. But as a Paul Harris Fellow myself, and a personal longtime friend of Mr. Gary Huang, the first Taiwanese, most Taiwanese president of Rotary International Club. And I do have something to say, to share here and with all our good friends. And of course, also have such a great delight and honor to help celebrate the Asia Pacific American Heritage Week. And of course, we always believe that any proud country, including, of course, the United States and Taiwan, just like any proud individual, of course, individual Rotarians here in this room, if you don't stand for something, you are far from anything. So Taiwan is the small country where I was born, raised, educated, and my dad, 93, my mom, 87, is going strong, following U.S. Major League Baseball and the stock market and playing mahjong over the weekend. But with 23 million really peace-loving, hardworking women and men jam-packed in a small island, approximately the size, 1/5 the size of state of Washington. But they try to work hard, they want to work smart, and of course, today's Taiwan, it means a great deal, but in so many ways, too big to ignore by our accounts. And of course, given many daunting challenges, geopolitical, geoeconomic, and day in, day out, we have to sleep next to this 800-pound giant neighbor, and also about this rising tension and still unfolding in our part of Asia Pacific. I would say that Taiwan, so far so fine, and really standing out as a young, thriving, full-fledged democracy, and people enjoy the highest degree of freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly. And just to remind you that just last week, the reporters of Without Borders and the Freedom House, they just ranked Taiwan the freest country in Asia. Way ahead of any of our neighbors in the region. Of course, about rule of law, abiding respect for human rights, animal rights, and a really robust civil society in Taiwan, a shining example in almost the entire Asia Pacific. So this is all core values, actually our two great countries shared, and we all hold so dear. But it's more than just, of course, core values. It's about our common interest. And based on the Taiwan Relations Act of 1979, immediately after the switch of diplomatic relations between Taiwan and the United States, and the Congress passed and the President signed into law this Taiwan Relations Act, now still the cornerstone of our unofficial relations. And also 6 assurances pronounced by President Reagan to assure Taiwan stay sovereign, stay free, stay democratic, and of course a lot of mutual trust, joint efforts, low-key, pragmatic, and sometimes zero-surprise approaches will be able to get many things done. And this is what we believe is such an impeccable or even ultimate natural partnership. But we never take our relationship, our partnership for granted. And this reminds me of I'm old enough to remember that old Smith-Barney commercial about making money the old-fashioned way. You earn it. And indeed, my government and working with our NGOs and religious and charitable organizations, and we try to work even harder to forge closely and even this important friendship and partnership. And of course, my president, the first woman president elected this time last year, so far tried to keep her cool, her calm, steady hands, and no nonsense, making sure that the United States remains our most important foreign relations, even with some good times and bad ups and downs, but this is where we need to work together and in all aspects. And now I can safely say that the relationship between our two countries cannot be better and stronger based on those values, common interest, once again, our same goal. So one of the most important integral parts of our partnership would be humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. The United States has been a staunch supporter and also collaboration on this, in this very important aspect. So whenever there's any country, any region in need, Taiwan will be among the first, sending our rescue teams, our experts, cash donations, in kinds, just to make sure that we'll be able to give back to the international community because we owe so much to the global society. And just 4 weeks ago, the Taiwan delegation for the first time been invited to the State Department because given some restrictions, Taiwanese officials are barred from visiting the White House, the State Department, some of the federal agencies. But just 4 weeks ago, our delegation was there, sit down with more than 68 countries, the foreign ministers, the senior officials, because we are a member of coalition, global coalition to defeat ISIS. Of course, we are not sending troops to Syria, to Iraq. We are not bombing, ISIS. But Taiwan plays a big part on these humanitarian aspects of this important campaign. So for the last 3 years as a member of coalition, we have donated, cash value, more than $30 million, prefabricated houses for the poor, for the refugees, for the returnees, and mobile hospitals to give immediate, timely service and medical service to those people in need. And I personally, myself, I pledged another $500,000 and some demining equipment from Taiwan for the stabilization work, part of the coalition. So we are more than willing, ready, and available to help. And we are talking about Rotary Club, friendship, fellowship, service, and Taiwan is always ready and to do like all the proud Rotarians. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Gao, for your remarks and your inspiration for what Taiwan is doing in terms of leading the way in humanitarian assistance. Well, to tee up the centerpiece of today's program, we have a dynamic Rotary duo, and I'm going to invite them up right now, Jean Thompson and Devin Hay. So let me tell you a little bit about Devin. Devin's right here. Devin's one of the rising stars in Rotary. She's a Rotaractor. In fact, she started out as the president of the University of Washington Rotaract Club, and then became the charter president of our very own Seattle City Rotaract Club. And she now serves on the Rotaract leadership team for the whole West Coast of the United States. Professionally, she works at the Washington Department of Social and Health Services with the State Office of Refugee and Immigrant Assistance. So if you asked her, I think she would tell you that it was the skills, some of them anyway, that she learned as a Rotarian that have helped her in her job today. In fact, both of your bosses are here today, is that right? Will you stand up so we can tell you how proud we are of Devin? So we here at Seattle 4 Rotary are so proud to be in partnership with all the Rotaractors in our district, and in particular, our very own sponsored Seattle City Rotaract. So Devin, you'll hear more from her, but I'm delighted you're here and really grateful for all the work you and your fellow Rotaractors have done to get us where we are today. And joining Devin is one of our members, Jean Thompson. Jean is the Associate General Counsel at World Vision. She's been a member of our club. Actually, it's been 14 years. You joined in May. Oh, wow. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I did your new member orientation way back when. But Jean has been very active in serving our club. Currently, she is the co-chair of International Service Committee. She is an incoming trustee on the Seattle Rotary Service Foundation, and she's taken on a lot of roles at the district level. So I'm going to turn it over to our Rotary dynamic duo, Devin and Jean.
Okay, thank you everyone. So I wanted to give you a little bit of background about what we're doing here today. You may or may not be aware of Seattle City Rotaract, founded under Seattle 4 about a year and a half, just about 2 years ago. And we have partnered up on this big grant today and also partnered with the district, where we are the first Rotaract club to be the lead club on a district matching grant. So this is very exciting, and we are one of the only districts in the world that even lets Rotaract clubs be eligible for those matching grant funds. So this is a big project, and we're really proud to be partnering with the district, with Seattle 4, and also with World Vision today.
Oh, you told me to turn it on, didn't you? You did. He warned me. All right. World Vision operates in nearly 100 countries around the world, similar to Rotary. We work with children, families, and communities to overcome poverty and injustice, regardless of their religion, ethnicity, or race. Just to highlight a few things that World Vision does, one area of emphasis is emergency relief. Last year alone, globally, World Vision responded to 137 different major disasters and humanitarian emergencies. Some of those are refugee responders. World Vision also has over 95% of our 46,000 staff around the world are actually working in their home region. So the 500 kits you're going to see that are going to Senegal, there's World Vision Senegal with local people working in the World Vision Senegal office there. Often those people in country are first responders themselves when emergencies happen. One of the things World Vision does are kits, and that's what we're here today for. Well, how do kits get to where they're going? First, we assemble them, and you all in this room are going to do that. So we're in Seattle with our kit build. Then they're shipped by truck to a World Vision warehouse. Some of the kits we have are going to our Fife warehouse, and some are going to be going to Pittsburgh. From there, they're put in a cargo container and shipped to the field. We're going to talk to you about the 3 kits we're doing today.
So the first kit, and probably the most, well, not probably, yes, the most kits we are doing today is promise packs that are going to Senegal. And Seattle City Rotaract chose Senegal because we have a former member who's serving in the Peace Corps in Senegal. So she's going to be working on the ground with Rotaractors, Rotarians, World Vision to help get those distributed to children in need in Senegal. So these are the ones that are going first to Pittsburgh, where they're going to be meeting up with other promise packs to fill a container, and then they're going across to Senegal.
One exciting thing is I think it'll be the second shipment ever of promise packs that have ever gone to Senegal through World Vision. So it's very exciting to do this with Rotaract and Rotary. Promise packs are what we're packing for Senegal, and what they do is they offer the promise of hope, the promise for a future, the promise for education. They include school supplies, where some children cannot go to school if they don't have the basic supplies. There's also some hygiene items in there, and an insecticide-treated blanket to prevent against insect-borne diseases like malaria. So it's wonderful that we're able to do these packs today. Second pack, and here's a clue for you, they're color-coded. So this is green. See the tables with the green balloons? The green zone will be doing Spruce Street packs. And Devin will tell you about that.
And Spruce Street, who you may have heard with through some of Seattle 4's peace-building efforts and the anti-sex trafficking work that Virginia and others are heading up. Spruce Street is a care facility here in Seattle, and they work with at-risk youth who are either homeless, or many of them are involved in human or sex trafficking. So we're going to watch a short video to learn more about what Spruce Street does.
The Spruce Street Inn is one of a few select programs in Seattle, Washington that provides services to street youth, chronic runaways, and commercially sexually exploited children who are 12 to 17 years old. There are 2 co-located programs within Spruce, including a crisis residential center providing a safe place and residential services for at-risk youth, and the Pioneer Receiving Center providing short-term emergent placement services for youth in crisis. The center offers services for up to 18 youths in coordination with Washington State's Division of Children and Family Services and the Office of Homeless Youth.
When youth first enter Spruce Street, our goal is to identify the individual crisis and find out whether reuniting a youth and their family is the safest option. A youth can stay with us at Spruce for up to 15 days. Within that time frame, our staff closely work with the youth to pinpoint the issues and origins of their behavior, and if appropriate, we conduct family mediation sessions. Optional services can include an at-risk youth petition, child in need of services petition, drug or alcohol treatment, or an alternate living arrangement. While in the program, youth are monitored 24/7 and engage in art, yoga, and skill building, while others may attend treatment, counseling, or school programs. Youth who have been involved in sex trafficking are referred to a community advocate who specializes in working with youth who have been or are at risk of being sexually exploited. Community resources are also identified to help meet both the family and youth's unique needs. The goal is to build a strong family and a youth support system with a foundation to have long-term stability and positive change in their lives.
The last kit we're doing is going to be the Blue Zone. See our folks with the blue balloons? Great job, Blue Zone. We see you out there. Critical kits that are going to refugees in Lebanon. Now, we're going to hear a lot more about the refugee crisis from Khalil Slayman when he talks after the kit build. But are you ready to get to work? Yes. Are you ready to get to work, Rotary? Yes.
Hi, Linda. Thank you for packing. Do you have anything to say about your service today?
Yes, it was fun, and I told him he was special, whoever he is.
That's wonderful. That's your personal note.
Yes.
Felicity is visiting from the International District Rotary Club. What do you think about our project today?
Great. We should copy in the in the UDC.
Wonderful. Here's our past president, Don Kraft. How are you doing on that backpack, Don?
I'm doing okay. This is a great experiment.
Thank you for your service. David Levine. What do you think about our project today?
Oh, this is great. I'm excited kids are going to be able to go to school and have the supplies that they need.
Wonderful. Thank you for your service. Oh, we got 2 past presidents here, Jim McCurdy and Todd Sommerfeld. What do you think about our project?
Oh, I think it's great. It's great.
Fabulous. Great project. Good to get hands-on.
Thank you for your service. David's a vice president at World Vision. David, what do you think now that you're watching everything in action?
Oh, it's really exciting, President Kathy. This is like a dream come true, and I want to just thank the Rotaractors and Gene Thompson and the whole crew that made this happen.
Well, thank you also for your support. We really appreciate it.
Indeed. Thanks.
Hi, Jacqueline. Do you want to say something about the service project? You actually helped us set it up. What did you do to set up?
Yeah, this morning I was able to get all the stuff out of the boxes, and it was awesome, and it's just an amazing organization. And these bags are going to go to some of the most extraordinary people, and it's just an extraordinary organization that I'm so glad to have been a part of.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your support. Hi, Roberta. Do you need some help? Do you want to say something about the refugees?
Well, I'm just passionate about the refugee work, whether it's overseas or whether it's here in our own community. And I'm thrilled to be able to be packing this for children overseas as well as here in Seattle.
Good. Let you pack those notebooks. This is Mariah Kimpton. Mariah, what do you think? One of our active Rotaractor leaders, what do you think about our project?
I think this is great. It's great to get everybody up and moving and really participating in service during a meeting.
Thank you, Mariah, for everything. Can you tell us what you're saying to what your message would be to the people receiving these packs?
would just say with all our love and hope for the future, and that our very, very best to you.
Thank you for your service. Hi, Simone. Can we get an up close of your message? What does it say?
It says, believe in yourself, dream big, follow those dreams, and don't let anybody stop you. I believe in you.
Wonderful. Thank you for your service.
I think we're good. So we're going to talk more about one of these third kits that we are delivering, which are to refugees in Lebanon. On your tables, this is the slide, but you actually have handouts at your tables. If you'd like to see some of World Vision's work, you can take a look. In 2015, World Vision's Syria crisis response reached approximately 1.1 million people, including over 630,000 children. The refugee crisis now is like no other time in our history, with internally displaced persons and refugees from Syria and Iraq equaling 15 million people. It is an astounding number. Here today to talk to us more about the refugee crisis is Khalil Slayman from World Vision. So I'll have you stand right here while I introduce you a little, Khalil. So he has over 14 years of experience with World Vision. Most recently, 4 years with the Syria response team, where he served as response manager in Iraq and Turkey and northern Syria. And before that, he served as humanitarian emergency affairs manager with World Vision Mauritania. And he also held positions in World Vision Lebanon, where there he was leading World Vision's operations for internally displaced persons in some of the most dangerous areas of Beirut during the July 2006 war. Khalil speaks Arabic, French, and English, has an in-depth knowledge of the Middle East, including his own experience from war and displacement, as he comes from a small village called Abra in southern Lebanon, and he lost his home and land in Lebanese civil war. He's a master's degree in agricultural engineering from the Lebanese Institute of Beirut, and he's married with 2 daughters. Please have a warm welcome for Khalil Slayman.
So thank you so much, Jean, and thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here today to share with you a little bit about the Syria refugee crisis and a little bit also of my personal experience. When we say 15 million refugees inside their country or in the country, neighboring country, it's too much. This is how I can summarize the Syria refugee crisis. 15 million people left their houses and are of great need in everything. When we were working in the field, we didn't have to do any need assessment because these people, they need everything. And I can understand because I was in their shoes once upon a time during the Lebanese war. As Jean said, I come from a small village, and during the Lebanese war, my village was destroyed. And I had with my family to be displaced to a safe area. We lost everything. We lost our house. We lost the business. And my parents, they had to rebuild again. So this time I'm in the other side of the refugee crisis, and God has put me to help and support the families. The Syria crisis has a lot of impact on all the domain of life. It has impact on the economy. It has financial impact. It has in health sector impact, but most importantly, it has the social impact. Why it's very important, the social impact? Because it's not only the Syria that is being impacted with the war, but also the neighboring country. And with a huge number of refugees going in these countries, they are also providing more tension and more stress for the refugees themselves and for the hosting communities and for the governments. The Middle East, if I can say, as I have a degree in agriculture engineering, the Middle East is like a garden. When you look, you see every tree standing alone, individual trees, but if you look beneath the ground, everything, all the roots are so interrelated. So what's happening in Syria, for sure it will be having an impact on Turkey, on Lebanon, on Jordan, on Iraq, everywhere, and this is what we are seeing on the news. Not everyone in these countries, they have the heart as you have in supporting the refugees and being there for them. Some people, unfortunately, they abuse these refugees for their own benefit and profit. And this is why I said most importantly is the social impact. In Lebanon, we have 2 million refugees for a population of 3,500,000. And the infrastructure is made to host 3 million people. So you can imagine what type of life we are having. The instability in the Middle East is also another layer to look at and to understand the suffering and the misery that this part of the world we are facing. It's not only this. The problem is like we are not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. We have a vague future. I have 2 daughters. Honestly, I don't know how their future will be because I'm from the Middle East. Are they going to stay with me and their mom, or they will travel and find their own safety and security? And this is what's happening with every single family and with every single young person in the Middle East. We are living in a dilemma. And I'm not making things more difficult or trying to present it as difficult. I'm just explaining the reality in the field because this is how it is. We live in a dilemma, in a continuous dilemma. Are we going to leave or are we going to stay? What will happen to us? How the war will end? What is the end game? Anyone in this room can tell me how the end game will look like? No one. And the instability is moving around the whole areas and the whole countries. We never know what will happen in Jordan or in Lebanon. We never know what dimension the crisis in Syria will take. We have too many players in a very small game. And until these players, they get to an agreement, I think misery and suffering will keep on moving. And this is why we are afraid. This is why we are asking for any kind of support from anyone. Advocacy, financial. The Syria crisis is a marathon. It's not a sprint one. Because this is why it took more than it should be. But this is the situation, and this is what we are facing. If we take a look on this photo, how the people are living, this is one of the camps. No privacy, no social life, families are traumatized, children are traumatized. And for this reason, World Vision is there. World Vision is there to provide with your support and the support of the governments and your thinking of this crisis. We are there to provide support in all kinds of sectors. WASH, that is water and sanitation, health sector, education, livelihood, food and non-food distribution. World Vision is the main partner for WFP World Food Program that is supported mainly by the government of the US. And we are doing partnership in almost all the countries. But most importantly, because the social impact is so hard, most importantly, World Vision is doing child protection. And before I speak about child protection and give you more insight what is child protection and how we are doing the thing, I would like to invite you to see this movie for like a 1-minute movie.
مدرسة هون لأنه بحب ألعب أنا هون. كنا بندرس بسوريا بس صارت الأحداث وأجينا هون. أنا اسمي صلاح عمري 12. في كان طيران بيقصف بيوت وريحة عالم إنه ميت. شفت عالم ملقحة بالأرض، الطيران بيقصف البنايات تنزل البنايات. كنا هناك بمدارس، كان عنا سيارة، كان عنا بيت، كنا كثير مبسوطين.
World Vision works with Syrian refugees, providing food and housing assistance, clean water, where families only had dirty runoff, and what is so missed by millions of kids, child-friendly spaces, a school-like environment where kids can learn, play, and begin healing after years of violence and death.
ما انبسطت إلا في المدرسة، فيش غير إلا بالمدرسة.
So this is exactly what we are trying to do in the camps. We are trying to create these safe places for the traumatized children. If I can tell you one example, when the children was coming to our camp, they were learning math where they were in their areas. And the way they were learning is like 1 tank plus 1 tank equal 2 tanks. And we have 2 bullets. If we want to kill 2 people, how many bullets we need? This is the kind of children and the kind of trauma we are dealing with. And this is why World Vision is doing what we are doing. All the children, 99% of the children are having trauma and are frustrated. And this is why we try as much as possible to be there for them. And this is why we are doing all what we can so that we can change and we can transform the way they are looking at the life. I will end by one word. Building a child is building a future. These children at some time will be the leaders of their countries. So let's build them well. Thank you so much.
Well, today I think is sure to be my favorite meeting of the year. I want to thank all of you for helping fulfill one of the goals I had this year, which I set out in July, to have as many members as possible involved in hands-on service. And to see you all do that today touched me deeply. So I want to say thank you for embracing service above self today and providing this outreach to the rest of the world. I thank you, my fellow Rotarians. See you next week.